po namin Diyos. Maraming salamat po sa buhay at lakas na aming taglay, sa liwanag ng kaisipan at sa pagkakataong maipagpatuloy ang pag-aaral ng mga kabataan. Gabayan mo po ang bawat isa sa amin. Anuman ang bahagi na aming gagampanan, naway maging maayos at matagumpay ang pagtuturo at pag-aaral na aming gagawin sa araw na ito. Patawarin mo po kami sa aming mga pagkulang at pagkakasala. At sa aming paggawa, ikaw po ang aming makasama. Amen.
Good morning, learners! Welcome to another week of Practical Research 1 here in Valenzuela Live. I hope you are all in good and comfortable condition because this morning you are about to learn the steps in writing a research title and justification in conducting research. And with that, here are the following objectives that we will accomplish as we go along with our discussion. So first, at the end of this lesson, you should be able to write a research title. Next, you should be able to provide justifications or reasons in conducting the research. Now, before we jump into our next lesson, let us have a very short activity to recall what you have learned on the previous week. So previously, you have learned about the different kinds of qualitative research: ethnography, phenomenological, narrative, grounded theory, and case study. So now, for our activity, I will be flashing several examples and scenarios and tell me what kind of qualitative research it is, just by keying in your answers on the comment section. So, are you ready? Awesome! So let's start. So number 1, a researcher studies a village of indigenous people on an island to observe their culture and customs outside of modern civilization. So think about what kind of qualitative research that is. So for question number 1, that is ethnography. Next question. Exploring the lived experiences of women undergoing breast biopsy. This time, in which kind of qualitative research does this fall under? If your answer is phenomenological, then you are correct. It falls under phenomenological. Next question. A researcher studies why employees are frustrated by their work. Employees can explain what they feel is lacking. HR then gathers this data, examines the results to discover the root cause of their problems, and presents solutions. What kind of qualitative research do you think is applied on this particular example? You are correct if your answer is grounded theory. Fourth one. Phineas Gage was a railroad employee who experienced a terrible accident in which an explosion sent a metal rod through his skull, damaging important portions of his brain. Gage recovered from his accident but was left with serious changes in both personality and behavior. So, is this an example of ethnography, grounded theory, narrative, phenomenological, or case study? So this particular number, the answer is case study. Last number for this activity. It deals with stories, interviews, life histories, journals, photographs, and other artifacts. Which among the different kinds of qualitative research is being applied or being described here? So if your answer is narrative, you are definitely correct. So you did great on our first activity. Now, apart from the different kinds of qualitative research, you've also learned about its pros and cons, or its strengths and weaknesses. So, can you help me identify which among these examples or these statements belong to strengths or weaknesses of a qualitative research? So let us start listing down the strengths of qualitative research. So first, strength is emphasis on minimal or few subjects only. Next is can clarify different situations or factors that is existing. Another strength of qualitative research is this research is flexible and can adapt to modifications. Now, what about for the weaknesses of qualitative research? First, results of the study are limited and relatable only to some people and not to the whole population. Second is, the outcome can be affected by the researcher's personal point of view. And another weakness of qualitative research is that data gathering is more rigid and time consuming. All right, so now let us dive right into our main course for today, which is the research title. So research title summarizes the ideas of researcher's study. So it contains the most essential variables of the study and helps the researcher to maintain the direction of his research. The research title should neither be too long nor too short, and it must be analytically descriptive and reflects the objective of the research. Okay, but how do we actually come up with a research title? So, in preparation, you should have the following prerequisites, or let's say ingredients in making a title. So, first, you should have decided on a topic. And next, you should be able to identify the research problem. So once you all have these ingredients, it is time to follow the procedure or steps in forming a research title. So here are the 8 steps to be followed in writing a research title. The first one is check first the parameters of your research problem. Identify your objectives in your study and write your chosen method on how you are going to deal with the research problem. Second step is to identify the keywords of your research problem. List all the possible concepts that you may discuss in your proposed topic. For the third step, check your keywords with your research parameters. Have an initial evaluation if your keywords suit your research objective and method. Fourth, delete all less important or unnecessary keywords that you have listed. Next, create an initial working title. Use positive words to stimulate the reader's interest. Sixth step is to eliminate all unnecessary words in your initial title. Next, you may add a subtitle if you feel that it is needed to add details in your study. And lastly, write the final research title. Is that clear? Not yet? Alright, don't worry. Let's have a practical application of these steps. So please pay attention and listen very carefully. So let's take homosexuality as our topic. Well, homosexuality is a broad topic. So what exactly do you want to know about it? So when you are asked by your research teacher to submit a topic, the initial feedback you might get would be your topic is too broad. So the first thing or first challenge to you, dear learners, is to zoom in and specify your topic to a research problem. And having that said, since we already have a broad topic, the next thing that you need to do is to narrow down that broad topic to a specific topic or a problem. And here it goes. Perspective of a father with a homosexual son before, during, and after disclosure. Your topic has become more comprehensive, isn't it? Now that we have a specific topic or a research problem, let us proceed with the steps in creating an appropriate title. In step 1, you'll have to check the parameters of your research problem. It can be a characteristic or a variable where the research is limited to. In this case, our parameters are perspective of a father, homosexual son, and before, during, and after disclosure. Now, what could be your objectives? Let's say to understand the experiences of a father who are fathering homosexual sons, and to identify the perception of a father towards fatherhood before, during, and after the son's disclosure. Then think of a method to use on how you will deal and gather data for your research problem. Are you going to conduct an interview to get the full details? Will it be a quantitative or a qualitative research? Is it going to be a phenomenological study, case study, ethnography, narrative, or grounded theory? Next, in step 2, what are the possible concepts that you may discuss based on your research problem? In our given problem, you may discuss concepts about views on homosexuality, fatherhood, establishing a good father and son relationship, and so on. For step 3, have an initial evaluation if the keywords in your parameters suits the objective and methods of your study. Then, if there are less important or unnecessary words, you can remove them. Next, you can now create an initial working title and make sure that you use positive words to make it a little creative to stimulate the reader's interest. So, can you share in the comment box the initial title that you can think of for our specific topic? All right, thanks for your responses and active participation. So now, read your initial titles and delete all unnecessary words. Then, you may also add a subtitle if you feel that there is a need to add details in your study. Then finally, you can write your final research title. So for example, here is our final research title. I Am Your Father, a qualitative study on the perspective of a father with a homosexual son. So see, the title mirrors the research problem, the method to be used to deal with it, and its objectives. And with that, the reader will already have an idea on what would be the scope of the study. Plus, the title is pretty enticing to stimulate the reader's interest. How about you? Can you share in the comment box the final research title that we have made? That's wonderful. You did a great job on this practice. So, at this point, let us find out the various reasons for conducting a research. Well, of course, Nobody does research and spend enormous amount of time for the whole process for nothing. Everything in this world is done for a reason, and that includes conducting a research. So here are the various reasons why research is conducted. So the first one, research is conducted when a particular problem had occurred and needed to find an answer or explanation. And that is just one of the purposes of research, to provide solution to a certain problem, provide an explanation to elaborate certain phenomena. Second, we conduct research if there is a need to prove a lie or support a truth, which makes sense because research provides evidences to prove or disprove something. Third, if there is a need for a tool for building knowledge, development of educational materials, instructional tools, and platforms, they all undergo research and development. Fourth, for understanding of various issues that has a trend to be addressed, why certain issues come up, what are their impacts to various aspects, and what are the views of people regarding the matter. And lastly, we conduct research if there is a demand for aid to a business or job, like technologies and innovations that aids business and jobs. Now, in order to justify the intent or purpose of the study, a justification of qualitative study checklist is used. And this is an example of that. If the score is 20/20, then the conduct of qualitative research is deemed justified. Now, to wrap it all up, here are the key points that we have covered for today. So we tackled the 8 steps of writing a research title, and the following reasons for conducting a research. So after this live, think of 3 topics of your interest related to your strand and practice creating titles for those, applying what you have learned for today. Alright, so that's all for this session. I hope you learned a lot and be able to apply your learnings in writing your research paper. So goodbye and have a wonderful week.